Well,
Yeah.
we do have a question from Sohill,
Mhm.
who asked in the chat box, and basically his question is, what are the banks doing since the landlords can't evict, tenants for non-payment for a particular period of time? So my feeling on that is it depends on who the bank is. Your bigger banks, your Chase, your Wells, and Bank of America, they're going to give a little forgiveness for a few months too, because they've already made a deal with the state of California for the owner occupant type mortgages. I don't see that they're going to change that for the commercial loans, but some of your smaller banks, you're just going to have to call them. That's basically how it works. Most of them aren't going to volunteer to take deferrals.
Yep.
You're going to have to prove to them that you're going to have issues.
Yeah, your core business or whatever it is has been affected by this virus. Yeah.
The bigger banks, they have a big PR stuff going on. They're not going to volunteer it. You're going to have to ask. Glenn, did you have something to say?
Yeah, I do. This is something that not only for banks, but for us too. We've got 350 properties under management. So there is a 60-day moratorium. You cannot foreclose. So, but it does not alleviate people from the rent payments. So we are expecting some bumps in the road. Obviously, fortunately, about 50% of our tenants are Section 8, so that'll take care of itself. There's other government programs coming out for assistance. Of course, the stimulus package is going to help on that too. So like what we did was we sent out a letter just saying we understand what's happening out here, but please understand, there will be some grace here, but the money is still going to eventually be due, and we're going to be understanding here the next 60 days. But you're still responsible for the rent, and we're showing them the programs to go and to check into and to help them to get the help that they need.
Yeah, I've got one example to offer there. On our retail portfolio, for example, we proactively approached all of our tenants and said that we're going to defer 2 months of your base rent to kind of get them through this. I mean, our success is their success. And if they can reopen when this is over, we're all going to be better off for it. And on the bank side, in terms of what banks are doing with these payment deferral issues, one of our banks automatically offered us 6 months of interest-only payments instead of amortizing. And that'll save us quite a bit of money. And I was talking to one of our bankers right now, and as you can infer from what I've been working on the last week, which Bill mentioned earlier, it's been talking with bankers often and regularly. There's a regional bank in Kentucky. We're buying a few self-storage facilities out there next month. And they had mentioned that they forecast over 75% of their commercial loan portfolio to go into payment deferral. And they're still down to lend. They're still doing deals and they're still moving forward. But this is a systemic issue. And it's been kind of refreshing to see, kind of contrary to the last downturn, that everybody is being touched by this. Lenders, landlords, and tenants, and everyone's working together to get through it.
Yeah.
I have one quick comment on this. So it's exactly the case we're all in this together. So I placed a call. My wife is an optometrist here in Brooklyn, New York. We're closed. And I did call our equipment lender, Wells Fargo Bank. In 15 minutes conversation, 90-day deferral immediately. They already have a policy in place for all distressed areas. All you have to do is call, request deferral, they'll deferral. That's the basic step you can do for now. So it's sort of a mitigation for 2 or 3 months at this point. If this is a prolonged problem with people out of work for more than 90 days, there will be probably step number 2. You can call back and get another few months. They understand. I think there's a moratorium on foreclosures, moratorium on evictions. So just proactive conversations take care of it. If you have tenants and they have an issue, just be prepared that you have to do something to help them out. And that's the way to do it. Do it together, do it as a united country, and we'll get through this. But the banks are certainly very, very responsive today. All you do is call, explain that you are in a disaster zone, you're closed, and they'll do an immediate deferral with menu.
Yeah,
definitely agree. I think being proactive, as the other panelists mentioned, being proactive and reaching out to your tenants, whether you have a large rental portfolio and or, reaching out to your lenders and explain the situation. I mean, we're, fortunate enough to have a very high percentage, I would say around 85% of our rentals with subsidized programs from New York and Section 8 and things like that. Those programs for those landlords who have that in place, they won't be as, they won't feel the impact like most of the people who are just, who have cash tenants. We've actually received a few calls, not many, on the note side, where we had some performing notes where people were asking, what type of what type of programs that we have in place in order to help out with the current situation. So we been in contact with our loan servicers, and like everyone else, we're willing to, give a helping hand to the current situation. Everyone will be impacted from this. This would definitely make everyone stronger, and for whatever's next to come. But there will be down the line possible opportunities for people who position themselves over the last couple of years. We've been in a very aggressive market. It's been a seller's market, forever. So this was, inevitable. But it's something we just have to take day by day and make sure that we're executing on the plans. The benefit that, I see in all this is definitely more family time, and more time to really evaluate your strategy and, the people that's in your circle and who you're doing business with. I actually had a question on the private lenders. How are they being impacted? The hard money lenders and stuff like that. I haven't heard too much. I'm hearing about the big banks, what they're doing, to the homeowners. But what are you guys hearing on the private lending and the hard money lenders who may have projects up and running that's been stopped due to townships not coming out doing inspections and stuff like that? Are you guys? Well, of course, the first didn't roll around yet. But what are you guys seeing on that end?
Well, that's a good question, and that kind of I'm going to talk about that here in just a second. I know Jim and Mark both had questions, and I'm going to answer Mark's first, and then I'm going to kind of give you a take on what we're doing, on the private lending side.